Hi all. This is going to serve as our annual child abuse awareness meeting for the Red Barn Child Care Center. We always have personal safety curriculum that we teach in January to children that are 3 to 5 years of age. But we always open up this meeting to all parents of all ages, just because that's something that is a concern and a topic to talk to with every parent, no matter how old your child is. And so specifically, some of the stuff that we'll cover will be just for the 3 to 5 year old age group, but a lot of this will also pertain to younger children who will eventually have this curriculum as they move up into the preschool classrooms. And then obviously, it does still pertain to children who are in school and out of preschool. So as we go along this information, feel free to write down any questions that you have and email them or post them later. And I'll be happy to reach back out to you specifically if you have any, individual questions that you prefer just to ask me about how to handle a certain situation, or a question about the curriculum in general. And even after this, obviously when we teach the curriculum, sometimes children, their curiosity peaks on what we're talking about, and they may say something that, makes you want to know more about how to handle a certain situation. So just reach out if you ever need any help with that. So we're going to start. And the Keeping Kids Safe curriculum is viewable. I will post a link to the state website where you can view it. So you can view the curriculum in its entirety if you're curious. And I'm going to show you the parts of it that I want you to look at more so, especially if your child is 4 to 5 years of age. So you can look through that and really focus on week 5, which we'll do a little bit later. So one of the things that I like to talk about in child abuse awareness is just for parents in communicating with your child. So we're just going to go through some tips on communicating with your child and how you can help keep the lines of communication open with your child about personal safety. So obviously making time for your children, we all try to do that, never as much as we would love to, but making time to spend with them and conversate with them and ask them about what they've been doing and who they've been playing with and what they've been playing, and all these types of conversations that we would like to have with them. Listening to fears and concerns, and letting them know that they should not be worried to tell you anything. Even when children are older, letting them know that, even if they think they're going to get in trouble, always letting them know that it's a safe space to talk to you about something, even if they're scared. And other adults, you can always tell them to, at school, if you're having a problem, speak to Miss So-and-so. At the Red Barn, if you are scared and you don't know who else to talk to, tell them to find Miss Jessica, Miss Melissa, Miss Daisy, Miss Caitlin, their teacher, whoever it is, the adult that they're around and that they trust to. If they're, at the soccer field and they don't know who to talk to, tell them, always give them an adult to talk to that you feel like is the safe person for them to speak with if they have a problem. Knowing where your children are, who they're with. Obviously, most of us are always with our kids, so that's not a problem. Be alert to any adult who is paying an unusual amount of attention to your child, such as buying them candy, expensive gifts, video or computer games, etc. Just being cautious on who your child is spending time with and who is paying extra attention to them. Be cautious about anyone who has unsupervised contact with your child, and find out as much as possible about anyone who is looking after them. Children need to know what is and what is not appropriate touching. Don't be too embarrassed to talk about that. I know some of the content in this meeting will be uncomfortable just because it's not something that you ever want to think about happening with your child. But if you don't think about it and aren't proactive about it, then you're leaving your child open to more possibilities that something could happen that they wouldn't know how to handle. So you want to be proactive about it and talk about it. Talking about what is appropriate and what is not appropriate touching, and helping them understand what is unacceptable behavior that they must always tell you. If somebody is behaving in a way that worries them, even if it's somebody that's in your family or even if it's a friend. And, so you always want to go over different types of scenarios with your children when it comes to that kind of stuff. Explain the difference between good secrets and bad secrets in your family. So the example here is talking about a birthday surprise is a good or an okay secret, but not about something that makes them upset or uncomfortable. So be careful with, using secrets with your kids. One of the biggest things that I've learned over, 18 years of working with kids is teaching them the anatomically correct names for body parts, which is very difficult to think about. Teaching them, the word penis or vagina at 2 years old. But having sat in different meetings and trainings with DCS caseworkers and investigators, it really is the best way to protect your child from having something done to them and them not being able to communicate with you what happened. And also it's the most important thing when it comes to having, if something was to happen, having it, someone being convicted of it is going to be more difficult if the language isn't there as far as what was done. So I know that's a really difficult thing to think about, but just like you teach your child that they have an elbow, they have a nose, you want to teach your child what their body parts are. So I always encourage you to do that and to, just make it not a shameful thing, but just make it part of, when you're going over body parts, like, what's this? What's this? What's this? It's okay. It's totally fine for them to say those words, and they will not get in trouble for saying them here when they're talking about it in that respect and context. Most of all, and teach your child that they have the right to refuse to do anything with an adult that makes them, frightens them, or which they feel wrong. So I know most of you and I as well grew up in the because I said so, or because I'm an adult, because I told you to. And yeah, respect is important, but at the same time, they need to know that if you are told by an adult to do something that makes you upset, you need to tell another adult. You have the right to, tell somebody else and seek out help for that. They should not hesitate to tell you or another adult if something happens that they don't like. Some myths about child abuse are that, most people think that child abuse happens by people that they don't know, that they, you watch crime shows and that from Criminal Minds, some crazy person is going to come in through the window at night and snatch your child up and go do something to them. But the unfortunate truth is that the most common abuse happens in a family or a close friend situation. So it's not normally what we used to refer to as stranger danger. Now it is more so common in families, extended families, close friends, neighbors, stuff like that. Also, another myth about child abuse is that, it happens in poor socioeconomic households, which is not true. It can happen in any area of society, any race, any background, religion. So that's not, it's not wonderful to think about, but you don't want to think about it in terms of it would never happen in my neighborhood, or it would never happen in my family, or, where we live, it would never happen to us. So you definitely want to just be proactive about it, like I said before, and think about what different scenarios that your child could be in where they would potentially be open to anything like that ever happening. Just be more aware of certain situations in which you would normally trust people, but just to think about how, the possibility could very well be there. So, all right, see, I'm going to change a page to, let's see, the goals of the personal safety program. So personal safety curriculum was mandated by the state of Tennessee in 1985, and it was kind of revamped in 2005, but it is mandatory. So we are required to teach this to every child in our program that is between the ages of 3 and 5. every year. So it's an annual curriculum. So if your child does have it and they're here when they're 3, 4, and 5, they will have it. There's a little bit of a variance between the threes, and I'll go over that in a little bit so you can see the difference between what the lessons are that they have. The goals of the personal safety program are to enhance a child's ability to avoid victimization, to enhance a child's self-esteem and self-confidence. So you'll notice a lot of the safety lessons that we have are not necessarily all focused on. There's just one chapter. There's six weeks of lessons, and only 1 week, week 5, is the one that talks about the personal safety. All of the other lessons are about other safety that we talk about all the time. So it's not like this is the sole focus. So we're not doing a 6-week course on sexual abuse. So I don't want anybody to get, confused about that. And we'll go over the table of contents in a few minutes. To reduce feelings of guilt and blame that are often associated with being abused, to enhance and coordinate community response, to reinforce adult supervision and protection, and to deter offender behavior. So the content of effective programs, which is one of the reasons why they chose Keeping Kids Safe as one of the curriculums that we're authorized to use, is children own their own body and their genitals, which we talk about private parts at school. So private parts at school are the parts covered by a bathing suit. Those are things that are private. Feelings are okay, and it's important to tell others how you feel. So that's another big one. We talk about feelings all day, every day. So this content in the program is going to be nothing new for friends that we have here. There are good touches and bad touches. And that's something that we do talk about a lot as well. We teach our friends to be gentle with each other. So that's nothing that's out of the ordinary for us to talk about on a daily basis. Saying no, getting away, and telling someone are ways to respond to unsafe touches, which is true. And we do work on that all the time as well. Children can be taught about good and bad touches as part of a continuous learning to understand the difference. Programs to reduce child victimization have the greatest impact on elementary age children. So the hopes of teaching children 3 to 5 is that we're going to hopefully start the foundation of the personal safety before they go to school. So that's the reason why this program specifically works for 3 to 5 years, because we want to build the foundation on personal safety before they go into elementary school. A study comparing teachers and parents as instructors discovered parents and teachers are equally effective, and in some cases, parents were more effective at teaching their children about personal safety. Well, obviously, I would agree with that. That's why we're partners in this, and that's the main reason why we definitely needed to have we do hold the meeting every year to let parents know kind of what their part is in it. So you're your child's first teacher. You're their most important teacher that they'll ever have in life, and so that's. You are the one who really gets to decide, the personal safety, how it's taught in your household, and how it could be varying levels of that, and what you choose to discuss with your child, what you choose to wait to discuss with your child, because obviously that's your prerogative as well. So for that reason, that's why when we talk about personal safety in the classroom, we discuss it as private parts. Now, earlier I told you that I do highly recommend that you use the anatomically correct words for your child's privates, and I strongly, strongly do. But that's also your preference as a parent. So that's not something that the Red Barn gets to decide for you. So when we talk about the lessons with the children, we refer to their areas as private parts. So when you see that in the curriculum, there'll be parts in the curriculum where it may say the word penis or vagina, but we won't say that in classrooms, in the lessons. So that way, if your child isn't comfortable with using that term, or you're not comfortable with us using that term with your child, then that's fine. You could teach your child however you want to teach them about that at home. But if they come home and say that we were talking about private parts in school, then you'll know that that's why. So don't want anybody to get caught off guard by that. Okay, let's see here. When it comes to the personal safety lessons themselves, let's see. This is the contents of the lessons for the 3 to 5 year olds. So you can see And you'll receive a parent letter at the beginning of the week that will tell you, okay, we're on Unit 1, we're talking about self-esteem. So at the beginning of every week, so you can kind of keep track of where we're at. So you can see that, you know, Unit 1, 2, and 3, self-esteem, family and friends, feelings, they're extremely general safety ideas. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that we wouldn't normally be talking about anyway. So self-esteem, you're talking about all about how they're unique, special, important, fantastic, loved. We're going to talk about family and friends just to kind of get an idea and get the door opened as far as like who lives in your house, who is your friend, how do friends and family treat each other, you know, just kind of building the foundation for what that looks like when you have loving family members, loving friends. Feelings is Unit 3, which, like I said before, we talk about feelings all day, every day. So that's nothing that's going to be out of the ordinary for them. Then we get down, wrong way, down to Unit 4, problem solving, which is something that we also discuss all the time about how to deal when you have an issue in the classroom or you have an issue at home or it's, you know, big school, like wherever you have an issue, what can you do when you have a problem with somebody? You know, you can listen, you're cooperating with each other, choices, asking for help. Those are also very general things that we talk about all the time here with the kids. And we'll skip down to Unit 6, which is safety around me, which is street safety, riding safety, fire safety, water safety, car safety, strangers, which is, you know, very general safety stuff that we talk about all the time anyway. You know, we always do fire safety week. We talk about this kind of stuff all the time about how to stay safe in different scenarios in the world around you. So that is very general too. So the two things that I want to focus on in this specific section is the Unit 5, because Unit 5 is the one that talks about personal safety. So you have the general Unit 5 personal safety, which is for 3-year-olds. And then you have the age 4 and older Unit 5, which is a little bit more in depth. So I'm going to show you those differences. So let me skip to, if I have my page markers correct, then I can show you. Okay, so for 3-year-olds, this is the personal safety, your body belongs to you, is the session. And all of these sessions are presented in a circle time scenario. So it's like we have Spot the Dalmatian. So there's different characters that they meet throughout the whole week session, the whole 6 weeks unit. This is the same characters and they're all in these different situations. And so it's going to be like a 10 to 15 minute little puppet show story time scenario in which they're doing this. So it's going to be storytelling. So it's not going to be outside of the ordinary of how we would normally teach things. If your child is in a preschool class right now with us, we do Tom and Tabby stories every day, which are 2 cats, and they talk about different they talk about character building and social emotional skills. So they're kind of used to doing that with Tom and Tabby already. So this is just adding in a different group of people. Miss Moon is the teacher, and there's all different kinds of characters in the stories too that that the kids will meet. And Spot the Dalmatian. So Spot the Dalmatian is kind of like the narrator of the curriculum, and so they'll get to meet him too. So it's kind of a fun way to bring about conversations about safety. So in the group time, you can see that they're talking, the specific lesson is about Keisha's bad morning. And this one, they're just talking about your body belongs to you and that no one should touch your body unless it's okay with you. So it's talking about, you know, your tummy, what's a part of your body. And so nothing very heavy, just normal conversation about, you know, is it okay if you push somebody on back on the slide? Nobody should touch your body unless it's okay. Nobody should pull Keisha's ponytail. Her hair is a part of her body belongs to her. You know, these very types of basic things. So, but my body belongs to me. So 3-year-olds, very light, very normal conversation. And in all of the sessions, there are activities that go along with it that the teachers can use and to put into their curriculum as supplemental activities. And that's totally optional. They don't have to do that. It's totally optional because they have a lot of stuff that they already put in there. So, but there's also a lot of different activities that they can use for these concepts. So the next part is for session 2 for 3-year-olds. Every part has a name. So this is just talking about every body part that you have has a name. You have a wrist, you have an elbow, you have a waist, a knee, an ankle. But specifically, since that was for 3-year-olds, they didn't talk about private parts because for 3-year-olds, we're not to that part yet. So we're not doing that. Let's see. This one for Unit 5, Session 3, Taking Care of Me. Again, this is for 3-year-olds. They're just talking about taking care of your body and how do you take care of your body. One way that you take care of your body is to give yourself a bath. And so it looks like Megan is going to get a bath. Her mama is helping her take care of her body and have a bath. So again, it's for 3-year-olds, so it's very light. See, past that. Okay. So session 4 for 3-year-olds. Matthew is going swimming and he forgot his bag. Let's see. He forgot, he got the wrong swimsuit and it doesn't fit. And so Grandpa lets him know we need to get something that fits you because you can't show your body at the swimming pool. It's private parts that your bathing suits covers, and this won't fit. So we need to go get your other suit. So again, very basic, very light conversation about making sure that when you're at the pool, your body is covered appropriately. Okay, so those are the lessons for the 3s. So when you get to the section for the 4s and over, you'll see it's a little bit different. And the objective for this one is learning about safe and unsafe touches. So Keisha has a little baby sister named Jamila, and she obviously wants to help with Jamila and take care of her and change her diaper. And later on in the story, you can see that Keisha's mom used the opportunity to talk to her about boys and girls, that girls have body parts and boys have different body parts. And you can see here in the story that it does say the specific words penis and vagina, but that's where our teachers will not say that. So they will just say the word private part and skip the body part and move on. So she will just say, I changed baby Jamila's diaper and that was a safe touch. I had to clean her private body parts. That's it. Okay. Then we have session 2. They're going to the doctor. So again, it's going to talk about Keisha's going to the doctor. And they're talking about if it's the doctor touching her chest to listen to her heartbeat. And so they're talking about that. And it says on the way home, Mom says to Keisha, I'm glad you told me how you felt about Dr. Sarah looking at your chest where your private parts are. So that's the story about going to the doctor and how it's safe for the doctor to touch you at the doctor. Okay. That's follow-up activities, which we'll skip over. Session 3. This one's a little bit different. So this talks about Mother's Friend, about how Megan's mom has a friend named Rick, and just the story about them. how she is not comfortable with Rick. And you can see on this page, it talks about him putting his hands on her private part and touching her. And she tells her mom, and she asks her mom, you know, are you mad at me? And she says, I'm not mad at you. It's not your fault. You are not to blame for what Rick did. So then they have a long talk about personal safety rules.
What are you doing up here already?
They also give us an adapted version to where we can change the names of the person. So that way, you know, if there was somebody in the center who did have a mom with a friend named Rick, that we wouldn't want to talk about him in that light and freak somebody out. So they have that so where you can change that if you need to, if it's obvious that you need to change the name from Rick to another name, you can do so. And there are more activities. And this is the session 4 for the 4 and 5-year-olds. It's talking about a secret, about Uncle Mark and going camping. And he does not want to go. Matthew does not want to go camping with Uncle Mark. And he is talking to his grandma about Uncle Mark touching him in his private parts. And he is disclosing to his grandma about that. So, and again, she is reassuring him, telling him that it is not his fault, that Uncle Mark should not have touched him or made him scared. And he has nothing to be mad at him about. And what he did was the right thing. So basically just validating their feelings and letting them know that it was okay to tell you and that nobody is mad at you. And there's an adaptation for that story as well. And I have an Uncle Mark, so I probably would not have used that name if I was teaching it to kids, because that would not be what I would have said. So there's an adaptation for that. And I think that may be the last one. I think there's just 4 in that. Yeah. So then you go on to street safety. So from that on, you're on to street safety, which is obviously just typical safety. So I know that's a lot. And like, you know, not the most pleasant topic to be discussing when it comes to, you know, thinking about being proactive and making sure that your child knows what to do in a situation like that. But it is the best defense that we have when it comes to that, you know, being a possibility. So we want to do that. One of the things that we've noticed years of teaching this curriculum is that, like I said earlier, it does tend to bring out the curiosity. So it's completely appropriate for children to start talking more about types of things during this curriculum, especially when we, you know, get to the week where we're saying the word private parts in class. So, you know, sometimes it tends to bring out more bathroom humor than normal. And so we just have to be prepared for that. And we're used to that kind of stuff because, you know, in the moment, if a child is joking around and stuff like that, they don't normally, at this age, 3s, 4s, and 5s, they're not really aware of what they're talking about. They don't have the content knowledge that we do. So it's not inappropriate for them as much as it is for older kids to be joking around about stuff like that at this age. So if your child does say something at school here or does say something at home that is concerning, we can talk about that, but it is normal for that to happen. It is normal for them, you know, to talk about what we talk about in class. And I would actually encourage it, since you know the weeks that we're going to have these lessons, it's going to be week 5, and we'll send out the letter at the beginning of that week that says, hey, this is the week that we're talking about personal safety. I would just, you know, be prepared for that week. And then also, bring it up at home if you want to and say, hey, did you listen to your spot story today? What did you learn in safety today? Can you tell me about that? And just kind of open them up, because if you know that they know what they're learning about in class, then they'll be more apt to talk to you about it. And if they have questions that they don't feel comfortable, or something that they want to say about it, if they don't feel comfortable saying it here in a group setting, then maybe they'll want to talk to you about it at home. And that will also help you to open the door to talk about things that are more appropriate for you to talk about at home, and how you want to handle certain situations and words that you want to use at home if something happened. And just to validate their feelings that, if someone does do this, then it's okay. We try to explain to the children here that while they're here, your parents, obviously can touch your private parts. The doctor can touch your private parts. Sometimes we have to help with wiping. So sometimes that becomes an issue too, where they are like, well, are you allowed to help me? And it's like, well, we are, but if you're not comfortable with that right now, then you can do it, since you just learned something new. And if you don't want help, then that's okay. You don't have to have help if that's something that worries them. But I hope that you all got some good information from this video. And like I said, reach out via email if you want to ask specific questions about that. I will post the link underneath this video, so that way you can look at the curriculum as well, especially week 5. Unit 5 is the one that I would focus on the most, because everything else is just pretty much standard safety stuff that we teach all the time. So, but this one, I feel like, you need to be prepared and know what it is that we're discussing. So that way, if your child does say something that, at home, that you are prepared for that conversation, because you definitely don't want to get caught off guard and not be ready for what questions they may have, what questions may be brought up in that regard. So just give us an email, give us a shout, or when we would be happy to help you out with that. So thank you. Have a good rest of your day.